let's discuss this a little more with John E. Herbst, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Mr. Herbst, great to have you with us. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, when you heard those suggestions that a deal is really close, almost at the finish line, we heard the number 95% thrown around. Where do you sort of put stock in that?
Well, I think that describes the negotiations between the United States and Ukraine. But we have seen zero indication, we, the general public, or anyone I'm able to talk to, has seen any sign that Moscow is interested in making peace.
And, you know, something else we heard that there's really no agreement on a ceasefire yet, right? And that's something that we've been watching for here.
Well, the Russians have made clear they don't want a ceasefire. Trump said in the process of the news conference that he understands the Russian position. But then, of course, the ceasefire was related to Zelenskyy offering something that Moscow had been asking for, and at times Trump has been asking for, which means elections or a referendum regarding possible territorial changes in Ukraine. So it seems if Moscow would like those sorts of changes, yet is unwilling to accept a ceasefire, it's not negotiating in good faith, which I think is what's going on.
Well, I was going to ask you, how realistic is it to hold a referendum on territory while there's an actual war ongoing?
Extraordinarily difficult. It's not sensible.
What risks would Ukraine face, do you think, if it agreed to give up any land?
Well, I'm not certain that it will. Look, the area in question is the heavily fortified western series of towns and cities like Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, lesser towns like Pokrovsk, which the Russians keep claiming they're going to take, but they haven't taken even at this moment. And there's a good reason why the Russians haven't taken that area, because it's hard to take. And that's why Putin is demanding it. Now, Zelenskyy, to demonstrate yet more willingness to compromise, said, well, he could see moving Ukrainian forces out of that area if Russian forces move an equal amount back from the lines they currently control, and if there is some form of international peacekeepers to make sure Russian forces do not then come back into that area. That is not a bad faith proposal. But again, we've seen no indication of Moscow's willingness to compromise. It's very clear that Putin speaks with great respect and even deference to Trump, not to annoy him, but it's equally clear that Zelenskyy has said yes to 5 or 6 Trump proposals for a ceasefire or peace since the middle of March, and Putin has not accepted any of those.
So given all of those points you've made, how do you think today's talks went, or how would you rate what you heard after the two leaders emerged?
Well, I agree that there's progress in refining the positions of the United States and Ukraine so they could agree. But there's another party that needs to agree, and we all understand that. And that party has shown very little interest in compromise. And they are afraid. Putin is afraid of Trump using American power, which is why he dispatched Kirill Dmitriev, to the United States to talk to Witkoff right after Trump did something very strong and smart, which is put sanctions on Lukoil and Rosneft. And that led to this latest round of diplomacy, which continues to this day. But even in this latest round of diplomacy, in public, the Russians take a maximalist point. And as the Russian ambassador in London said 2 weeks ago, there's really no deal on the table for Ukraine. The only deal on the table for Ukraine is surrender. And certainly that's how Putin has been conducting his diplomacy. But again, with President Trump, he says some nice things here and there. He flatters him. But again, we have no public indication that Putin is willing to compromise on any serious issue.
Okay, we have to leave it there for now. John E. Herbst, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Mr. Herbst, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.